Flav City family, what is up? It is Art and Bobby back in our happy place, the grocery store, to do a video all about inflammatory foods, right? Especially here in the grocery store in the middle aisles, there's a lot of ingredients that are highly inflammatory. And the problem with that, it can lead to a lot of health issues from diabetes, obesity, cholesterol, and more. It's in your best interest to eat a low inflammation diet, which is why at home, Dessi and I do a keto paleo diet. Now listen, online there's a lot of resources, information about low inflammatory foods, but I thought it'd be cool to go through the grocery store and actually show you how to identify the highly inflammatory foods, why they're bad, and more importantly, how to replace them with low inflammation foods that are good for you and gonna help you avoid a whole host of issues. Before we do our thing, you know the drill. Like, subscribe, share. Every single week on this video, we have like 3 to 5 videos going live, and better yet, there's a bell icon right below the video so you don't miss any of the content. Enable all notifications because on Friday night, and every Friday night, we go live and make a recipe from start to finish, and you do not want to miss out. And judging by this soundtrack, woo, this is going to be a good haul. Even Art's starting to sing already. You guys remember back in the 80s and 90s when they vilified fat? They said fat was the worst thing. It causes cholesterol and plaque buildup and we have to get rid of it. So what did they do? They made man-made fat like trans fats and hydrogenated fats and margarine. And then fast forward like 10 years later, they're like, whoops, our bad. Those are actually worse than the fat in the first place. Sorry. Here's the deal. When you're talking about inflammatory foods, oils and fats can be good for you and non-inflammatory, but they could also be really bad for you and inflammatory. And the inflammatory oils I want you guys to stay away from are the ones that live right here. Canola oil, soybean oil, safflower oil, sunflower oil, corn oil. Those are all agricultural products that are very, very inflammatory. And you don't think of oils as normally being inflammatory, but here's why they are. Those kind of oils are highly processed at high temperatures and high pressure. When you do that, you also alter the fatty acid to kind of like a hydrogenated fat that your brain can't recognize. So your brain doesn't know how to store it, and it's highly inflammatory to your body. Also, when you're talking about these kind of oils, if they're not organic, which they are here at Whole Foods, they use a chemical called hexane to extract the oil from the plant. Why would they do that? What does Mr. Wonderful say on Shark Tank? Money, right? They want to get 100% of the oil out. So if you're gonna get something like a safflower or canola oil, it has to say expeller pressed. But my friends, I don't want you getting that. If you're worried about inflammatory foods, still not great. You can do much better. I will say that if you're gonna live in the middle aisles of the grocery store here, almost 90% of the products are gonna have a sunflower, safflower, canola oil, soybean. If you're gonna get it, make sure it's expeller pressed. But I would not even cook with those. Here are the oils I would cook with that are not inflammatory. I would get avocado oil, coconut oil, which is actually a saturated fat we're going to talk about in a minute, and I'm going to get olive oil. Why? These are not highly processed and refined like these oils, right? They're also heart healthy. And when you're talking about something like coconut oil, it was vilified 2 years ago by the press for being a horrible saturated fat. And why is it so popular right now? It's really bad for you. It's not. It's a healthy saturated fat, which we'll talk about in a second. But those are the low inflammatory oils that you really want to put into your body, not these highly inflammatory ones. Now, if you are going to deep fry something, I understand that's probably not the healthiest thing, but some people do it from time to time. It can be expensive to deep fry an avocado oil. Unless you buy that big jug from Costco, then and only then I would use organic expeller pressed canola oil. But you really don't want to be putting that stuff in your body. Now, there are good options in the middle aisle, so let's walk around and show you products that normally would have canola or soybean, but instead have heart healthy avocado oil or olive oil. All right, talking about heart healthy oils, look at this. One of the advantages of shopping at a place like Whole Foods is they have some really high quality marinara sauces. So these are 2 really good ones, and I actually did a side-by-side taste test on Instagram stories this weekend, and I'm telling you, Rayo's was so much better than this one. But at least they're using the right ingredients. Look at this. What kind of oil? They're using extra virgin olive oil. What kind of oil are they using for my boy Rayo? Olive oil, right? Both of these are great. Buy this one at Costco. It's literally half the price of any other grocery store. But here's the deal, you guys. A lot of the cheaper marinara sauces like the Ragus and the Pregos will have some olive oil in there, but if you read the ingredients, they also have soybean or canola oil in there, another inflammatory oil. So you want to stay away from those. I would just pick up this at Costco. They're using olive oil, pretty much the best in class. By the way, Art is very much enjoying the soundtrack today at Whole Foods here. Who sings this one, Art?
KT Tunstall.
Thank you. Now, salad dressings, right? Listen, as much as I love the fact that all the profits for Newman's go to charity, this is what you want to avoid. This is the oil and vinegar. First ingredient's olive oil. You're gonna walk away and be like, boom, it's good, it's heart healthy, non-inflammatory. Well, no, it's followed right by a blend of soybean and canola. This is the balsamic vinaigrette. And they're not even using the olive oil here. Oh, they are, a little bit of extra virgin. But what's the first ingredient? Soybean oil. And you guys, once again, we're shopping at Whole Foods today that not only has a soundtrack that Art is literally driving out to right now, if you go to any other grocery store, 99% of the salad dressings will be canola and soy-based inflammatory processed oils that are also high in omega-6s. When you talk about omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, you want a good ratio that's non-inflammatory. Those oils, Art is cracking me up, are high in omega-6s, which are inflammatory. So I would look for these dressings. Look at this whole row here, Art. Primal Kitchen. Why do I love Primal Kitchen? Because stop at any one you want. Vegan Ranch, stop. Why is it good? No, soybean oil, avocado oil, and best in class ingredients. And that's true with any one of these here. Come down to here, Bragg's, the OGs from California, they're always using olive oil. Where's this one? Oh, this one doesn't use any oil. That backfired. Here we go. Here we go, organic extra virgin olive oil, always. And this brand here, a lot of people, check it out, don't know about it. It's pretty much just as good as Primal Kitchen. It's Chosen Foods. They make a great avocado oil, and they always use avocado oil in their salad dressing. So keep that in mind. Read the ingredients, not just for sugar, which can be alarmingly high in salad dressings. What kind of oil? It's gotta be avocado oil or extra virgin olive oil. Art's cracking me up, so I gotta go.
Mission accomplished.
We've talked about sugar a lot on this channel. You know how I feel about it. In our kitchen at home, we have no white refined sugar. We only have keto sweeteners like monk fruit and stevia, and paleo sweeteners like coconut sugar. That's a low glycemic sweetener that's absolutely delicious. Sugar, in addition to being inflammatory, has some really horrible side effects. We know that it can raise heart disease and obesity, but you guys, sugar, white refined processed sugar, feeds the bad gut bacteria in your tummy and kills the good one. We know that we talk a lot on this channel about that gut health and immune system is very important because 80% of the cells that make up your immune system live in the gut. So you have to foster that. Also, it's my belief that excessive sugar, like white processed sugar, feeds cancer cells in your body, which is why studies show that keto and paleo diet are very good at getting rid of cancer and keeping people in remission. So what does that mean? Can you not eat anything sweet at all? No, it means you have to stay away from the bad, what I call El Diablo, the white sugar, and get the good sugar. So I'm in front of the chocolate selection here, and nowadays we have some really good options. So come over here, Art. If we're gonna get chocolate, typically a bar of something like this, right? This is milk chocolate. Milk chocolate means that it's gonna have under, I believe it's 55% cacao, but it's also gonna have more sugar. So much, in fact, that the first ingredient here is sugar to the tune of 11 grams of added sugar per serving size, okay? So not ideal, but we live in a very good time right now where people like Lily here has taken chocolate, gotten rid of the sugar, and instead is using stevia and erythritol. Erythritol is oftentimes from corn, so if you're gonna see erythritol, you wanna see this, non-GMO, very important. But look, there's 0 grams of added sugar here, and this tastes fantastic. Now, be careful because sometimes you'll see sugar-free sugars or sugar alternatives that are toxic, okay? I think of the sugars I grew up with, like NutraSweet, Splenda. Those are another word for aspartame and sucralose. Those are man-made sweeteners in a laboratory that, number one, your body and your brain can't recognize them. So it really messes up with your brain and it really devastates your gut bacteria. You gotta stay away from the stuff like in Diet Coke. That's pure aspartame or sucralose. Really bad stuff. We talked about gut health a second ago. You don't want that. But it doesn't stop now at chocolate, you guys. We can go for chocolate cups. Where are they at? Boom, 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 right here. These guys are great. Boo Keto. This is dark chocolate cookie dough. Now, I don't love the fact they're using natural flavors, but the fact that they're using monk fruit sweetener and, oh my gosh, red palm oil. Art, is this the second product we've only ever seen with that? I think so. All right, we're gonna talk about red palm oil in the other part of the video, but red palm oil is the only healthy, good for you palm oil because a lot of times you'll get sugar combined with a bad fat, and that's not just bad for inflammation, it's bad for weight gain and a bunch of other stuff. Something like this is a good alternative. If you want a cup, look, Lily makes a dark chocolate peanut butter cup, and so do other ones too. But look at that, all real ingredients there. Once again, erythritol and stevia based, no natural flavors. Now look, I was gonna show you what lives right here. These are my favorite normally. These are keto cups by Eating Evolved, but I think maybe people are getting afraid of coronavirus and not only stocking up on water. Do you see that shelf over there? The water's like half gone. Maybe they're loading up on keto cups too. But the sugar-free alternatives don't stop at chocolate. We have a couple more things I want to show you about real quick. Now, if you want to have some sugar-free alternatives that are healthy in your pantry, we've talked about this before. We're going to go with monk fruit sweetener, and we're going to go with pure stevia extract. Make sure it doesn't have any natural flavors. Make sure it's not the flavored stevia, otherwise it's going to have natural flavors. But I actually prefer this because it's a one-to-one substitute with sugar. You can use it for baking, you can use it for your morning coffee. The big bag at Costco is the best deal ever. But here's the deal, even though I love this and I use it on the regular, you still want to limit the amount you use because the erythritol and the monk fruit still aren't the best for your tummy. It still can disrupt the gut bacteria, but it's way, way better than regular white sugar, right? Just everything in moderation. All right, let's move on to the next one. We talked about the healthy non-inflammatory cooking oils before. What about the non-inflammatory saturated fats, right? Saturated fat, what did Bobby just say? Healthy, yeah, there is such a thing as healthy saturated fat. Don't let them dissuade you again about saturated fats all being bad. There's bad saturated fats and there's good. These are the good saturated fats. Check this out. We're talking grass-fed ghee, an amazing saturated fat I'll talk about in a second. But look at this, nowadays you can get grass-fed bison tallow, pasture-raised. You can get duck fat, which Art loves. You can get grass-fed beef tallow. You can even get pasture-raised pork fat. So these are healthy saturated fats. Keep in mind, your brain is mostly made of fat. Like I said earlier, the myelin sheaths that cover your nerve need healthy fats to keep your nerves insulated. The problem is, where a lot of people run into issues is when you combine saturated fat or any fat with sugar and simple starches. That's, my friend, how you get inflammation, how you get fat, and you get sick, right? And also, by the way, it's my opinion and many others that high cholesterol is not from eating saturated fat, it's from eating inflammatory foods, because when you have inflammation in your body's job is to send cholesterol to that point. That's what spikes cholesterol. If you have a low inflammation diet, you're not gonna have high cholesterol. Now, those are healthy fats. Probably my favorite one by far is ghee. So what exactly is ghee? Ghee is an amazing thing that if you're actually lactose intolerant or casein intolerant, you can eat ghee, because ghee is made in a way that burns off the milk solids, the white stuff on the top and bottom, and only has pure milk fat left. So there's no ghee, it's all ghee. There's no casein, there's no lactose. It's a high smoke point with a fantastic flavor, but you really want to get grass-fed, pasture-raised. We're going to talk about that in a second. Some Costco's are now starting to carry a huge thing of ghee. Just make sure it's at least organic, better yet grass-fed, because I know some of them are not. Like here, you'll see Organic Valley has an organic ghee, but it doesn't say 100% pasture-raised, grass-fed. So in that case, it's not, but it's still better than conventional. So that's good saturated fat, that's low inflammation. What's a bad one? Well, margarine, shortening, and palm oil. So this is plant-based butter, and it's made with olive oil. And you might be like, oh, it's good. Bobby said olive oil is low inflammation. Well, Bobby also said, put on your monocle and read the ingredients. Monocle, who wears a monocle?
Mr. Kensington.
Sir Kensington does. So this is so interesting because, yeah, there is extra virgin olive oil, but it's superseded by the most toxic canola, palm, safflower, refined oils. So this is why we have our channel, to teach you how to read ingredients, because yeah, it has the good heart healthy low inflammation oil, but it has way more of the inflammatory fats in here, so you don't want that. Palm oil is something very interesting, because palm oil, you can't find it at any grocery store to cook with. Why? Because no one has it. But if you walk the middle aisles all around here, it's in all of the ingredients. Why? Because food manufacturers love palm oil because it's readily accessible and cheap as can be. It's also highly processed and refined like canola oil and very inflammatory. You must stay away from palm oil, unless it's this palm oil, red palm oil. Now, Whole Foods is the only place we've seen it because it's unrefined, it's organic, and for the environment, it's also sustainable. Traditional palm oil is very unsustainable. They deforest and they get rid of the land. It's terrible. But red palm oil is expensive. Look at this, Art. It's $8.99. If I were ever gonna cook with it, this is the one to use. Very few products Art and I have ever seen use this. That's because it's expensive. So if you're gonna walk around, what products have healthy saturated fats in them? Well, I can think of one off the top of my mind, and it's right over there. Let's go over there. So here's the most readily accessible, healthy, pasture-raised, saturated fat in the grocery store. It's 100% grass-fed or grass-finished beef. Now, 100% grass-fed is the same as grass-fed and grass-finished. 85-15 is the leanest I would get. I prefer 80-20, but this is from cows that only have 100% exclusive diet of grass. They're pasture-raised, hence it's a healthy saturated fat. Whereas if you go down to the traditional ground beef like this is grain-fed. Keep in mind that nutrition shows, the numbers show that grain-fed beef cattle have higher omega-6 than pasture-raised grass-fed, so it's more inflammatory. Plus, grass-fed beef has a better nutritional profile, also has more CLAs and a ton of good stuff. So ground beef, 100% grass-fed is the way to go. Costco has the cheapest price on the planet for frozen ground beef patties. It's $3.80 a pound. You could thaw them out, then make meatballs if you want. For fresh packs like that, Aldi has the cheapest price, but actually I would go to Walmart, get the 80-20 blend, because Aldi doesn't have that. It's like $5.50. It's an amazing deal for a healthy, saturated, pasture-raised fat. We've talked about grains many times on this channel, and grains can be very inflammatory if you eat simple grains and simple carbohydrates. But if you're gonna eat grains, something we don't do too often because we're a keto paleo household, they have to be complex carbohydrates. Because why? Well, when you eat something like this, a white loaf of bread, all of the nutrition has been stripped from the grain. You have something that was a whole wheat. They take the fiber out, they take the bran, the hull out, so all you have left is pure, simple carbs that not only spike your blood sugar, but they have no nutrition. The fiber will satiate your hunger. Thank you, I appreciate that, my friend. Oh, best channel ever, I like that. The fiber also helps regulate your blood sugars. So when you have something like this, you're doing yourself a real injustice. That being said, it doesn't mean you're gonna avoid grains, right? You're gonna have to have grains once in a while. Just make sure they're the right grains. Now, the problem with gluten, and why we never eat gluten at home, is that it's inflammatory, right? Even if you're not celiac disease, even if you're not gluten intolerant, gluten is always going to be inflammatory. Whether you feel it or not is another question, but it is inflammatory, so you want to stay away from it. The problem is, most gluten-free products have what I call all filler, no thriller. So this is a gluten-free bread that is so par for the course, you guys. Look at this. Instead of having complex grains that are gluten-free, it's made with tapioca starch, white rice flour, more rice flour, a little bit of sorghum is good, and tapioca starch. That's the kind of stuff you, cane sugar, yeah. Very normal to be a little cane sugar in bread, but Art's got us. Oh yeah, go ahead, of course. Wide load coming through. Oh, for a YouTube channel. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Busy aisle here. When you have the gluten-free grains like that are simple carbohydrates, all they do, now Art's mouthing to the Maroon 5 song. This is crazy. This soundtrack is making Art too giddy today. Simple carbohydrates spike your blood sugar and offer no nutrition. So be careful, just because something gluten-free doesn't mean it's gonna be good for you and doesn't mean it's gonna be non-inflammatory. This, in my opinion, is inflammatory bread. I would instead get what I consider the best gluten-free whole grain bread on the market, and it's Canyon Bakehouse, right? It's 100% gluten-free, but look at the ingredients. Brown rice flour, complex carbohydrate instead of white rice. Always gonna have a little bit of tapioca flour, but this is where it gets interesting. Sorghum flour, whole grain. Teff, whole grain. Also, what kind of oil do they use? Extra virgin olive oil. Very hard to find that in bread, but all of these are whole grain, gluten-free grains. Look at that. Quinoa, amaranth, that's what you want to see in a bread, because it's not going to be as inflammatory. But it doesn't just stop at bread. There's also pasta and stuff I want to show you over there. Let's get out of this crazy train aisle over here. If you're going to eat crackers, they have to be whole grain, non-inflammatory grains, and that's very hard to find because you pick up almost any box of crackers here, I love how they call them plant-based snacks. Well, of course they're crackers, not made of pork, for God's sakes. So what's the first ingredient? Unbleached, enriched flour. Anytime you see enriched or unbleached, put it back. That's a simple carbohydrate that is not complex. It's going to spike your blood sugar and it's inflammatory. Luckily, there are some options. So come down here, Art. This is one of my favorite ones. It's Mary's Gone crackers. And the reason why I love it, gluten-free, which is important because we talked about gluten being inflammatory. But are they using the simple grains in there that are gluten-free? No. They're using brown rice, quinoa, flaxseed, sesame. Look at that, tamari, which is gluten-free soy sauce. This is one of the best in class whole grain non-inflammatory crackers. Also, maybe even better is flackers. I don't love the flavor because the flax are a little fishy, but look at the ingredients. It's crazy. Flax seeds, apple cider vinegar, and salt. So 0 grains. These are actually keto too, because look at that. There's 9 grams of fiber there, which is unbelievable. And then don't be fooled by labels. So look at this. You're gonna pick this up and be like, oh, Bobby said that, you know, it's gotta be gluten-free and these are almond and rice crackers. They're not really almond and rice crackers because they're more like rice and almond, and it's not brown rice, whole grain, it's white rice, then almonds, and then see, we talked about earlier, it's sunflower oil or safflower oil that's not expelled or pressed. So always, like I said earlier, put on your monocle like the Monopoly man or Sir Kensington man, read the ingredients because you don't want to be fooled, you want to get the right crackers. What is the Seinfeld where Kramer goes to work and Jerry says, what's in your briefcase?
Crackers.
Crackers. So if we know we want to eat whole gluten-free grains that are non-inflammatory, we can apply that same principle to pasta, right? So traditional enriched wheat macaroni is out, but there's a lot of gluten-free whole grain options. Best in class, in my opinion, would be something like this. Organic red or green lentil pasta, because it has literally 1 ingredient like that. And I'd prefer, you guys, that it was organic because non-organic legumes like lentils can be high in glyphosate, the active ingredient in Roundup. I have a video about that coming out probably next week if it's not out already. And then don't be fooled, right? Drum roll, dramatic pause. You might pick up something like this that says it's a penne with super grain pasta. But looky what I found. The first ingredient is corn, then quinoa. Corn is not a superfood. Corn is a simple carbohydrate high in sugar and it's inflammatory. And right here, right next to it, this says it's a corn, brown rice, and quinoa pasta. And yes, it is. And corn is the #1 ingredient. Once again, the high sugar inflammatory grain. Even if that was the last one, I wouldn't want it. But why are they putting it as the first ingredient? Hey, must be the money, right? So apply those same principles of clean, whole, gluten-free grains to crackers, bread, and pasta, and you're made in the shade in terms of low inflammation. All right, I think I'm done. Art, what about you?
I was hoping we could film another 20 more things.
I think we're done, Art. You guys, that is it. When it comes to inflammation, now you know what to look for. And here in the middle aisles at the grocery store, it's kind of tricky, right? So just read the ingredients, separate the good from the bad, and you're good to go. Hey, like, subscribe, share. The only way this channel keeps growing the way it has, and it's been growing, is by you spreading that love. We got 2 more videos going below us right now. But Art and I will see you soon. Until then, we say unto you like we always do. Hashtag keep on cooking, mad love, and peace. Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.